Okay, let's talk about something that, well, we all do, but we almost never talk about. But what if I told you it's one of the most direct sources of information you can get about your own health? Seriously, think of it like a daily report card sent straight from your gut.
No, really, just imagine that for a second. What if every single day your body just handed you a clear, no nonsense summary of everything that's going on inside? No more guesswork, just pure data. Well, guess what? It does. Your body is doing that every single day. The signals are there, we just have to learn the language. So in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to decode those signals so you can finally understand what your gut is telling you. So let's get started.
Our first and maybe most important tool is the Bristol Stool Chart. It's basically a simple system that sorts everything into 7 types. And the real key here is that the shape and the texture are giving you direct clues about something called transit time, which is really just how long your food spent on its journey through your gut. Okay, so if you look at types 1 and 2, the hard, lumpy kind, that's a sign things are moving a little too slowly, pointing to constipation. Then way down at the other end, types 5, 6, and 7 are moving way too fast, and that means diarrhea. The sweet spot, the goal, is right there in the middle, types 3 and 4. That means you've got a healthy transit time, somewhere around 24 to 48 hours, which is perfect for absorbing all the nutrients from your food.
Actually, to make this even easier to remember, let's just group these into 3 zones. You've got the slow zone, right? That's constipation. You've got the healthy zone, that's our target. And then you have the fast zone, which is diarrhea. And that might even point to some inflammation or irritation going on. Just thinking in these 3 zones makes it so much easier to track your patterns.
All right, so we've got shape and form down, but that's only part of the story. The next layer of clues comes from color. Believe it or not, color can tell us a ton about our diet, how our organs are doing, and it can even flag some potential issues inside that really need our attention. So a healthy stool is typically just, well, dark brown. Pretty simple. And a lot of other colors are totally harmless and just show what you've been eating. Green from all those leafy greens, or maybe orange from carrots. No big deal. But there are some colors to keep an eye on. Light brown or pale could mean low bile flow. And if it looks kind of yellow or greasy, that often points to your body having a hard time digesting fat. Now, let's talk about the real red light colors, the ones that should make you pause. Now, black can be from something as simple as iron supplements, and red can definitely be from beets. But they can also be a sign of bleeding in your GI tract. And gray or white often points to issues with your bile duct. The bottom line is, if you see these colors sticking around, it's probably time to check in with a doctor. And that really brings us to the most important rule of thumb here. A one-time weird color is usually nothing to panic about. But, and this is a big but, if a color change that concerns you sticks around for more than a week, or if it shows up with other things like pain or unexplained weight loss, you really should consult a professional right away. So we've looked at all the direct signals, but now let's zoom out and connect the dots to the rest of your body. Because here's the thing, what happens in your gut does not stay in your gut. There's something called the gut-brain axis, and it means your digestive health is directly wired to your mood, your immune system, your overall sense of well-being. And get this fact is absolutely mind-blowing. Up to 90% of your body's serotonin, that's the feel-good chemical that helps regulate your mood, is actually produced in your gut. Just think about that. The health of all those little microbes in your gut has a direct line to how you feel, day in and day out. That is a staggering connection. And because of that amazing connection, an unhealthy gut can show up in ways you would never, ever expect. Things like feeling tired all the time for no reason, skin problems, feeling down, even trouble sleeping. These can all be signals that your gut is out of balance. See, it's not just about digestion. It's about your entire system. Okay, so we've learned how to read the signals. Now for the really good part. What can you actually do about it? Well, the great news is you have a ton of control. So let's shift from just analyzing to taking action and look at a few simple but really powerful diet tweaks you can make. First, it helps to know what we're aiming for. A healthy stool is about 75% water. I mean, just look at that chart. Water is by far the biggest component, and that makes it the single most important factor for getting that ideal type 3 or 4 consistency. So hydration is absolutely everything. So with that in mind, here's your actionable checklist. 1. Hydration. It's non-negotiable. Aim for around 2 to 2.5 meters a day. 2. Get enough soluble fiber, think oats, psyllium, that helps build a soft, easy-to-pass stool. 3. Keep an eye on the caffeine. Too much can speed things up too much. And 4. Check the labels on sugar-free products for things like sorbitol and xylitol. They're called sugar alcohols, and they're a really common trigger for diarrhea. But what if you've made all these changes, you're doing everything right, and you're still struggling? Well, that's when it might be time to call in the pros. Functional stool testing is an incredibly powerful tool that lets you go way deeper than just, looking in the bowl. So one of the key things these advanced tests look for is something called calprotectin. The easiest way to think of it is like a little smoke detector for your gut. It's a protein that signals inflammation. So if the levels are high, it helps doctors figure out if they're dealing with something like inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD, which involves actual damage, versus something like irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, which is more of a functional issue. And when it comes to the tests themselves, the technology has come a long, long way. The classic stool culture is the old school way. It tries to grow live bacteria from a sample. It's slow, and honestly, it can miss a lot of things. But the modern approach is PCR testing. It's totally different. It looks for the actual DNA of pathogens, which makes it way faster, much more sensitive, and it can screen for a huge range of bacteria, viruses, and parasites all at once. You just get a much, much clearer picture. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's that your body, and especially your gut, is constantly communicating with you. It's sending you a detailed report every single day, and learning to listen, to actually interpret that report, is the first and most powerful step you can take toward better health. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. After everything we've talked about today, just take a second and ask yourself, is your gut trying to tell you something? Thanks for digging into this with us.